everybody. Hi. Great job. Hi, I'm Sala. I worked on Frog Fractions. I'm working on Frog Fractions 2. I'm a member of Glitch City. I don't know anything about video games, so I'm not going to talk about video games. Instead, I'm going to talk about fucked up shit in nature that doesn't move. Alright, first up is the largest organism that's ever lived. It's known as a honey mushroom. It is 4 miles across in diameter. It's between 2,000 and 8,000 years old. Nobody really knows. It is a colony species that sends runners underground and pops up more mushrooms as they go. It's parasitic. It grows on tree roots and extracts nutrients from them. It eventually kills the tree, so it actually is a problem in the Oregon forests. That's where it's from. But they're it's the oldest organism alive right now. It's also the biggest. What do we do? Let it do its thing. It's also delicious sauteed in butter. So yeah, right? What is it? Delicious sauteed in butter. Next, I'm going to talk about this largest, stinkiest, worst flower. It is called the corpse flower, creatively enough. This thing grows to be about 10 feet tall, about 110 pounds. And it smells like you would have guessed like a rotting corpse. Delicious. It also, when it blooms, it gives off as much body heat as an adult human. Now the reason why this thing is so large and stinky and warm is because it attracts carrion beetles and other such insects that feast on bodies. To help pollinate it, spread it around. It's an interesting sort of way of doing it, but it works with the flower. It blooms once every 7 to 10 years, and oddly enough, whenever it is in a botanical garden, it's an incredibly popular attraction. Apparently people just love stinky, warm meat flowers. Yes, right? Alright, next, I'm going to talk to you about the most venomous plant on the planet. It is called the Gimpy. It lives in Australia, unsurprisingly, along with many other horrible creatures and plants and such, organisms overall. Now, the way this thing works is the whole plant is covered with tiny, fine hairs that basically act as hypodermic needles. If you brush against it, they break off, sink into your skin, and they are filled with a horrible peptide-based toxin. It's a protein, so it's you can't get rid of it very easily. And it is a 10 on the pain scale. And the pain, the feeling has been described as somewhere between getting burned with acid and electrocuted at the same time, and getting shot repeatedly. It's bad. And people that have, when it's kind of invasive, because it's what do you do with this thing, right? People that have to go remove it are given hazmat suits, radiation level hazmat suits to clear this shit out, because it's so bad. But they don't know what to do about it, and fortunately, it does not live here. We're fortunate that way, because, it's unpleasant. Next are some carnivorous plants. These guys are pretty fun. Now these are plants that live normally in really inopportune conditions that don't have the soil doesn't have all the nutrients, but they tend to grow in bogs, which is an acidic wasteland. So what they did is they evolved ways to basically lure, trap, and kill animals so they can extract nutrients from them instead of the soil. And there's a couple different ways they do this. The most famous is the Venus flytrap, this guy right here. That's a spring trap. What they do is that they kind of have large modified leaves go out like this, and each leaf is covered with very fine hairs. And if something lands on one of those hairs, it'll snap shut bam, like that. And then they'll start secreting acid to dissolve whatever's in there, and then they'll absorb its little nutrients through its cell walls. By the way, if you ever see one of these that's open, don't tease it to shut. Because if you do tease it to shut and there's no nutrients in there for it, it will die. No. So don't do that. Just leave it alone. You can find a fly and put it in there and being used. Great, you're helping it out. But otherwise, don't tease the poor thing. You're coming down it to death. Another kind is a pitcher plant right here. As you might have guessed, it's called pitcher plant because they're these long tubes filled with a very sweet smelling acid, lures tiny rodents and bugs stuff into it because it smells nice. They fall in, they drown, are dissolved, and digested. Tasty.
Oh.
Otherwise, there's the flytrap variety, like these guys, or the flypaper variety. Sorry. And they have long tendrils, and they're very fine, sticky, acidic hairs that again smell sweet. So things are oh, it smells great. I want to land on that. And they land, they die, get absorbed. It sucks for them. Next is the zombie fungus. Zombie fungus. Now what this does is this is a spore that lands on an ant. It mind controls that ant to crawl upwards towards light. It makes the ant ignore every instinct it ever has to climb upwards towards light. When the ant's exhausted, it makes it bite onto a plant stem. Ant dies, the whole thing takes over the ant. The long stalk grows up like you see, and then that big puffy thing launches more spores, which lands on other animals. Other little ants, takes them over. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, learning about fucked up shit doesn't move. Have a good night, everybody.
And then now it's the stage.